Hello from Chez Moi. It is April the 28th, and we're going to do a blossom report and just a general tour of the garden homestead. Before we get started, I thought I would, while we're looking at the beauty of the Sweet William blooming, talk a little bit about my philosophy. So, I have a day job. As I think I've said before, I am a microbiologist, and I work at CDC. And I really like my job. But I also grew up on a farm, and I enjoy growing things. I enjoy fresh eggs. I enjoy livestock. And I don't really see why I need to make a choice, right? So I live in suburban Atlanta, 22 miles from the Gold Dome. I sit on an acre. I have absolutely no desire ever to go off-grid, but I do want to live as sustainably as possible. So that's where we're going with this. Oops. I've heard this thing called an English daisy. However, I know from personal experience that if you get a milk-bearing animal that eats that, you will not be able to drink the milk. I remember one time when my grandmother asked, "Y'all kids want some ice cream?" So we had to go milk the cows, pick the strawberries, churn the ice cream, and like 4 hours later, we took a taste of it, and the cow had gotten into the bitterweed, and the whole thing was for naught. So I don't want any of that in my garden whatsoever. I don't have a cow, but I still don't want to propagate the whole concept. So, as you can see, since last week, the Sweet William has really taken off. The cilantro have not. There's a couple of little sprouts here and there that might be them, but I think it's more likely that it's pines. So I'm a little upset by that, but we'll try it again with some lettuce and whatnot. Today, we are going to put our tomatoes in the ground or in their pots, and the basil as well. Come nicely, the chives are blooming. I'm going to attempt this year to save some seeds and do some more chive borders. I need to start hardening off my other tomatoes and peppers, but we'll talk about that later. As you see, I've been doing some weeding. Look at that sage. Now when it gets a little warmer, it's not quite 60 yet, and it's about 9:30 in the morning. Yeah. When it gets a little warmer, I expect those sage blossoms to be visited by many bees, especially bumblebees. Ooh, we've got a hawk coming up. Won't be letting the chickens out anytime soon. Parsley is, for all intents and purposes, a biennial. So I'm going to let this batch go to seed and then collect said seed. That's a very pretty little variant of the Sweet William. So, as I said, I did a little weeding this morning, and we'll go back and see what the chickens got out of it. Oops. Let's get rid of that. Oops. From the roots. There we go. So I'm going to let those wild strawberries stay, because I kind of like them. They're actually kind of tasty. I know the chickens like them. Got some mint, butterfly weed. The monarchs will like that later. I've got some Dutch clover. I can't remember what all I planted over here, but I planted a bunch of flowers. So basically I just took out the dandelions and the whatever that other little sprawling thing was and tried to leave just the chickweed and the clover and the mint and stuff like that. I love my little tongue garden. It's just gotten wild and profuse. And one of my plans is to recharge all of my hanging pots and window baskets with some compost and I'm not sure which impatiens are going in there, but some impatiens are going in there. We've got more blossoms. It's going to be a mega stellar year for lemons, it looks like. Got some new growth on the olive tree. The avocado, how old is this avocado? I don't think it's even 2 years old yet. That's a pretty impressive avocado. And you see behind it all these impatiens. So what I'm hardening off, oh, and I also found some more wax and honey that need rendering. You see my infirmary is having mixed results. Some of them are doing okay, and some of them seem to be on their last legs, but we'll give them all a chance. I don't know what to do with that catnip. I can't take it indoors because it won't make it more than an hour, but I do need to cut it back. Anyway, what we'll be hardening off this weekend will be these Better Boy tomatoes, so the big beefsteaks, and some peppers, and probably the marigolds, which are doing really, really well. I think the eggplants could stay in another week, and I'm going to wait on my ferns. You see the ferns? Until they get really good ferny looking leaves. And I really want my eggplants to get a little bit bigger to be able to withstand the slugs, because I know I have slugs. But the marigolds are doing really well. I probably need to turn them so they all get the good sun exposure. Those are just various. It's going to be a guess as to what comes out. I know I saved a lot of tiger marigolds, but there should probably also be some yellows and orange and whatnot. All my various stages of projects. Let's go back out and see the chickens while we're at it. We'll go out the back door. I just, have a whole bunch of wood to chop down. So 3 years ago, I chopped the English ivy out of the trees. You can see maybe in the backyard, maybe not. We'll go back further. But the English ivy went way up in those trees, easily 40, 50 feet up in the trees. So I chopped it off a good 2 or 3 feet at the base and 4 to 5 feet at the top, poisoned the base, and now it's all falling out of the trees. But I'm chopping it up and spreading it down as mulch. Yeah, I just fed you. I am very proud that my fern that I rescued out of the forest is coming back nicely. So that's a native fern, as is the moss patch that I also rescued. My Lenten roses look good, and these hostas, see these hostas? I can't believe they're coming back. Something's eating them, probably rabbits, but that's amazing to me, because I just kind of dug those out from around that tree over there that had been buried in ivy for 30 years. We don't really have a reason to go into the hives, but that's never stopped me before. With Hygeia over there, I think I am justified in putting in another frame or two just to give her something to do in that top box so she doesn't start drawing some brace comb out of hand. I have no good excuse to go into Galadriel or Lilith other than the top, pop the top box and see how much they're covering. Same with Luthien, really, because I just put that box on her. So maybe we'll get a video later today about me putting some more frames in Hygeia, but maybe not. And again, here are the chickens. I just weeded a bunch. Hey, girls. I gave them some, maybe see over in the corner? I gave them some oyster shell. I don't usually give them that supplement, or I haven't ever before. But one of their shells of the Easter eggers, I think it was Torres, looked a little thin in places. So I do give them a lot of junk food. But one of my goals today is also to muck out the chicken coop just to get that strip under their roost bar. Also, I'm thinking about moving their roost bar to the second position further in so that when I get baby chicks in a couple of months, I can introduce them at night. But That's probably should be saved for a later time. Just muck it out today. Be sure of that. Anyway, the big blossomed azaleas are pretty much done. These were the pinks. You can see they're all fading. These were white. The small ones are completely gone. But the purple ones with the white throats still look pretty nice. I think these were the longest blooming ones. I have a friend of mine who's planning to come over and take some cuttings. So we'll see how that works out. I think we'll come back up the hill and end in a different perspective from some others. Again, I love these trees. That is a sweet gum. Whoa. I mean, I'm literally bending over here to get the top of that tree. So, 80 feet maybe. And this is my favorite. Because it really reminds me of an Entwife, right? With outstretched arms, being held back by the wisteria vines. And that's just a really comfortable place to sit and make my to-do list. And I need to really clean this little space out and do something with it. The chickens have been scratching. And this space as well. Uh-oh. Something has knocked over a gnome. Let's right my zombie gnome. Yeah, it's probably just a windy day. I like today. And everything's leaving out really nicely. I don't think we're going to go up in that side. But we can also see the fats here. I have some more seeds that I saved because I'm not really getting good germination on the ones I planted before, so they might have been a little unripe. But given how tall these are going, I don't think that's going to be a problem. Now, normally these get really tall and upright and they kind of flatten out a little bit, so I don't want them to get much higher than the base of my railing there for the porch, because I want the patients to be seen. But I don't think we need to prune them just yet. So see, they still have a few berries on them. Let's see what's going on in our mushroom garden. So I expect to get another batch of shiitakes really any day now. Oh, look. There's one I missed. So I'm just going to leave it be to see the rest of them. But I need to keep an eye on this. And I thought about putting right next to here some oyster mushrooms, because I have a box with oyster mushrooms and it's just grown on coffee grounds, which we have lots of coffee grounds. So this is my mushroom garden. The hydrangeas and the roses need some fungicide spray. You can see I've already got some sort of mold coming, but the heads are coming as well. So maybe in a week or two, probably 2 weeks, I'll start seeing some blossoms on them. And again, I wanted to put my impatiens up the walkway. And I need to get my irrigation system set up again and fill up my window boxes. So we're going to end at a new perspective, or a different perspective. One of my favorite views of Buddha and his fern. So, good day from the Entwife's garden.